Hi, my name's Adrienne. I work for Foursquare, based in New York City. You probably remember us from Foursquare City Guide and Swarm. We also have several enterprise products that you might not even realize you're using. If you're using an app that tells you where you are or where you're going, you're probably using Foursquare's technology. I'm here today to talk about diversity in IT and how that can aid in productivity and make you more successful to serve your organization. We've been really successful at Foursquare on our IT team, so I'm going to show you that. What's the problem we're trying to solve? We've learned here that when we have a diverse team that builds trust with our users and we're more productive. Diversity is a word that's often overused and can be misunderstood. Just so we're on the same page, diversity today means that the inclusion of individuals from different races, ethnicities, languages spoken, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, but it also includes things that you might not realize, like geographical location or education. Why is this important? When we have a diverse team, diversity introduces different perspectives from our workplace. It can shape the way we operate, and we're more productive. We can create better products and solutions when we have different viewpoints on our team and are offering different ideas from different backgrounds. All of the things that make you who you are from you're who you are because of your different race, your socioeconomic status. And when you have those on a team, those views widen. IT is here to serve an internal community, and we can do that better when we have different viewpoints on our teams. Take a look around, think about what your IT team looks like. There's not a whole lot of women here. We'll talk about not a lot of women. We'll talk about it in a second, but you don't necessarily have to have a degree, and you don't necessarily have to have a degree in computer science to have a successful career in our industry. But this might be just a good sample that shows that women and other people of color aren't entering computer science fields, basically, including IT, and really any higher numbers that they were in the industry. Why is that? How can we empower people to be successful and show that they are worth it to invest in? It's hard to find diverse candidates, and if we can see, the pipeline from here is really small and that hasn't changed, but there are other ways to accomplish that. So I'll show you a video. You might remember it. Whoops. Hold on one second, guys. Yeah. All right, so it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to show it, but I'll walk you through it. If you Google racist soap dispenser, you'll be able to watch it. It's like 30 seconds. You'll get the point. But there is a white hand, soap comes out. There's a brown hand, soap doesn't come out. They go back and forth for a second. The point is that it's not working for someone of a darker skin tone. What does this mean, though? It's representing that there's a lack of diversity in engineers, in designers, quality control. This happened in a popular hotel chain when they retrofitted a bunch of bathrooms and they installed these soap dispensers from this particular company. These work by a light is emitted from an infrared bulb, and when that light hits something and it bounces back, it completes the circuit and soap comes out. Well, if you have a darker skin tone, that light isn't able to bounce back and soap doesn't come out. How was this not noticed? I mean, everyone should be able to use a soap dispenser. Another example is when YouTube was working on its iOS app, their designers didn't necessarily realize that when someone's taking a video, if you're left-handed or right-handed, you turn your phone a different way to go into landscape mode. And when those videos taken from a left-hand perspective are played back, they're upside down. I live in New York. Everyone takes the subway every day. I didn't even realize this until a coworker pointed it out to me actually last week, that when you swipe your card, it's on the right-hand side. He pointed out, being left-handed, that it's kind of a pain because you have to awkwardly turn, switch hands where your bag is in. It's showing that there there's a lack of diversity in people that are considering what creates a successful product that all people can use. Tampons in the bathroom, why would you think this matters? Speaking to a couple high-level engineers, we do have a women-heavy engineering team at Foursquare these days, but someone mentioned to me that as she grows in her career, she has more choice about what company she works for, what jobs that she takes, and she mentioned that one of the first things she does is she looks at women in leadership online and then sees what an interview panel looks like. She mentioned that she always looks in the bathroom and sees if there's tampons. Why does this matter? Because it shows that a company considers the needs of others even if they themselves don't require these things. It's really hard to aspire to join somewhere if you don't belong. There's not going to be things for you if there's not diversity that bring these issues to the table and bring light to them. There's a lack of talent. People don't take these jobs because it's really hard to aspire somewhere where you feel like ahead of time that you're not going to belong. Same for the soap dispenser. Everyone in the whole company, hopefully, should be able to wash their hands in the bathroom. Half of the people in your company might use tampons. We need these things to be successful. They might not seem important at the time, but they make a huge difference to people's comfort and how they feel every day. What happened at Foursquare? Like I said, we were pretty successful. First, let me show you, again, IT is a service organization at the end of the day. Who are internal users? Foursquare has about 300 employees all over the world. We have offices in different countries. Foursquare makes products for the world using data from all over the world of different people. We try to have our community and our users and our employees be a microcosm of the world because we make products for them. This is our IT team. There's 5 of us. I'm going to talk some numbers in a second, but I'm focusing on those numbers when me, here in the pink, and this guy to my right, his name is Yao, we started. The numbers I'm going to show you aren't during any product launch or any crazy new hiring spree, but we were able to see some differences. I was really lucky when I started at Foursquare because we already had a diverse team to start. I think it did make a difference in how I felt welcome, but just offering these even more diverse perspectives made a difference. The point I'm trying to make is that when you have a diverse team, that creates trust with our users. It fosters a sense of community. People are comfortable. When you're approachable and you are accessible, people trust you more, and that makes us more productive as an IT team. To show you some numbers, this is from January 2018 when Yao and myself first started through April 2018, a couple months after we got settled, got in the swing of things, and had created these relationships with people. Tickets created drastically went up, tickets solved drastically went up, and tickets reopened went down. Why is that? It's a little bit more of a visual representation. Tickets are coming in, tickets are being solved, just if those numbers are hard to read. My point is that ticket volume isn't the enemy. Just because 2 new IT people joined the team, that doesn't mean the needs of the business changed or skewed. The more tickets we receive, the more information we can get from our users. That information is what's going on in the company. If there's projects going on with different departments that may actually require IT assistance that we don't know about, we can make everything smoother. Implementations go a little bit better. Ticket volume doesn't mean that things aren't broken. Like I said, our tickets reopened went down because we were able to focus on resolving those issues the first time because we had a more open line of communication. When we can anticipate needs, we can be more proactive. When we have ticket volume, that means that IT is a presence. We're there. We're not hiding behind a door. We have leadership makes a huge difference. We can form personal relationships. Going to lunches makes a difference. Being friendly makes a difference. Really simple things that diverse hires can bring to the table, and just having a different background make a big difference. We can educate users and have those opportunities before things crash. There's things there that we can fix ahead of time. We can be proactive. So IT isn't a last resort. they're just at the very end. We can become resources for people. How many times have you heard, I have a dumb question, sorry to bother you, I think I made a mistake? We don't want people to say these things anymore. We want to empower our users. Technology is personal. Everyone uses technology every single day to do their job and meet the needs of the business. When things crash, people are vulnerable. They freak out. It's scary when PowerPoints or Excel, spreadsheets that people spent hours collaborating on don't work. People freak out. We want to empower them to feel safe and confident to come to us and let us help them. Let us educate them. We're not emergency services. We don't want to just clean up fires. When we have more information, we can anticipate those needs. And that's the point. And when we can anticipate needs, we're more aware of what's going on, and people trust us. Again, people can feel empowered when they trust us. It's a safe space. We have to find common ground with people. There's a lot of people, even though they work for a tech company, aren't tech savvy. They're in non-technical roles, and they get self-conscious about that. They have to have confidence in us that we're a safe space, that we're a great resource, and we can establish ourselves early on by being approachable, things like that, having a diverse team, showing that we respect and we value differing perspectives. I might have touched on it a moment ago, but when we talk about diversity and tokenism are completely different. We don't need to hire certain people to meet goals. It doesn't make a difference. It's not hiring someone just because of these different aspects. It's not to say that marginalized people don't need camaraderie, but the whole point I'm trying to make here is that users don't necessarily need to work with someone who looks exactly like them. We don't need to check off 1, 2, 3, these boxes to have a successful team and to have trust within the organization. But just showing that IT values differing opinions by showing people that there's an entire department that doesn't look entirely unlike them, because again, we make products for the world, our employees represent that, everyone's more comfortable. Trust should be the biggest metric and goal and success metric of an IT orientation. We can bridge that gap between us and them. We don't want to hide in a closet. We want to be accessible. When we're accessible and people know we're there, that helps us as well. How many times have you rolled something out that you need users to take action on, but very well, no, they might not? When somebody knows that there's a face to those ticket replies, there's a face to those emails, they're more likely to do that. They listen to us. They have a personal relationship. We have to close the gap. We have to make sure that they know we're there for them and they can trust us. They have to have confidence in us that we will be resources, that we can fix their issues ahead of time. We don't want to be the last stop on the broken stuff train. We want to prevent costly errors. We want to prevent security issues. We want to we want to make things easier on us. Technology is used by everyone. Another opportunity we have to show and establish that trust really early on is onboarding and orientation. I'm sure that's a major part of everyone's jobs. There's going to be a lot of talks finishing up today and yesterday about ways to onboard and things that make things better. But what are the bigger social implications of orientation and onboarding? We're the second person that someone meets on their very, very first day. IT interfaces with more people from different departments than probably anyone except HR, and those first impressions stick. Our role is to get people set up with the applications and systems that an IT team uses, but we can also set them up for success in feeling welcome and establishing ourselves as resources, making those impressions early on, creating those relationships. It should be okay if someone needs to ask us something that's not IT related because they trust us, because there's a friendly face there, because we are approachable. We're not rude. They don't have to say things like, I think I made a mistake. Don't be mad at me. I messed this up. it's really, really important to foster a sense of community in your organization when you do these things and you value these things. What's the point of all this? Diversity and inclusion isn't an exact science, and it's really, really hard. It's a hard, difficult thing. But IT can have an impact relative to its size. I'm sure you all agree that most IT teams are smaller than an engineering org or sales, marketing, things like that. But when we have a couple diverse people on our team, we show that we're a diverse organization that values those difference of thought, different perspectives. We're open. We're there for people. We can foster that community of inclusivity. We can be an example for the whole company. Our most impactful tool is our team, and just showing our faces, showing that we're open, being a resource. When we talk about diversity, we have to acknowledge that we have unconscious bias. Unconscious bias is a way for human beings to fill in gaps with other things that they know from past experiences. It's preconceived notions, it's ideas. It doesn't always have to be this super, super negative thing. Everyone has unconscious bias, even if you're not talking about it. This picture was on the internet a couple weeks ago. It's a little girl. She's also wearing pink, but it says nurse in training. And then you have a doctor. They're little kids, but there's when kids are 4 years old, there's gendered roles, and these examples are set for them, what they should and shouldn't do. She should be a nurse. He can be a doctor. She might be really smarter than him. We don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is that these notions matter. Foursquare has been successful in our diversity and inclusion mission because we've acknowledged this unconscious bias. We try not to use gendered language in our job postings. When a job is put up on our career page, that goes up through 2 sets of eyes to make sure there isn't certain language and terms and words that are dissuading certain people from applying. How are we limiting ourselves by this? How are we stopping talent from joining our team? Requiring degrees is something. Certain things that you might not even think about really tell you a lot and make you think about someone's ability to do a good job. A lot of companies have made it a point to hide names when they look at resumes, which is a really good tactic, but there's other things that can influence your bias on what you think about potential hires. Geographical location matters. I live in New York, and again, one of my teammates pointed this out to me, that maybe your name is covered, but you have an address in the Bronx. That has preconceived notions about your education, about your socioeconomic status, not to even mention race, things like that. How do we measure this success if we're already inhibiting ourselves, and before we even hire people, we're making assumptions? We can talk about unconscious bias, but also, how do we find candidates? There is a small pipeline. If you are using traditional recruiting tactics, and you interview 100 white men, one white man is going to get that job. We can be in a tunnel. We have to change recruiting tactics. Also, once we start hiring diverse candidates, that network of diversity expands. An example is a friend that I used to work with. She works for a large tech company in the Bay Area. She is a Latina woman, and she was able to expand her team and hire an Asian woman. It's things like that that matters. Diversity networks can grow organically when we value that in the first place. We can reinforce company culture that's important to us. Also, recruiting and finding diverse candidates takes a lot of time. You have to be patient. Looking at LinkedIn may not be the best source for finding people. People have to make an effort to look and source for women or minorities in certain fields. When a job is posted, it might not be a quick hire if you actually want to consider people. Like I mentioned, just on our team, Foursquare has been successful with diversity and inclusion. This mission statement is up on our website. Our leadership team and our founder really value this. But fine. Being successful with diversity and inclusion, again, takes time, and there's going to be mistakes. We have to acknowledge our unconscious bias. We had an all-male engineering organization for a really long time. The first female engineer that was hired at Foursquare didn't know that she was the only woman on the team until she actually started. She was a little bit freaked out by it. Dennis Crowley, who's our founder, was telling me that when Foursquare started, they used to do a lot of happy hour meetings, late night stuff. And once they started growing and hiring more people with families can't have a happy hour meeting at 6 or 7 p.m. There's different things that we learn as we hired those people. We can expand our knowledge and our inclusion. Hindsight is 20/20, and again, this isn't an exact science, and we just have to make it an effort to learn. There are recipes for success, and this is a really hard topic to talk about. It's confusing, there's other things, but we can ask, there'll be a Q&A at the end, and if you want to talk to me a little bit later about other things, we can also chat. But most importantly, we have to prove to leadership that we value diversity. Management and leadership needs to invest in certain trainings. Poor leadership can affect marginalized people greater than other people. We have to learn the value and give people a chance. Once we're all included, we can all be successful. This isn't saying that traditional candidates aren't the right people for the job, but when we work together, we can build trust, we can be proactive, we can be successful. I'm really proud to work for Foursquare as a diverse hire, and I work with some really smart, cool people that I'm glad that we have made it a mission to include some people that might not have been hires 5 or 10 years ago. We're 10 years old now. Happy birthday. But I'm really proud to work for Foursquare. Again, if you have any questions, I'm available, and after as well. But I guess now I'll open up the floor if anyone has anything to say or ask.
You mentioned that it can be hard to source diverse candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give an example of like kind of irregular groups or ways to target people that are not like our normal candidate pipeline?
Yeah, definitely. Coding schools, recent graduates are great resources. There's a whole pool of people to talk to. Colleges have career fairs. Schools want to place people in jobs at graduation. We can do that. There's also different recruiting tactics, firms that help source that. There's colleges in different locations that might offer more diverse candidates that don't have the avenues that maybe non-traditional candidates have to fill these positions. For every developer job, there's 5 open jobs. There's 5 openings for every 1 engineer. A lot of those are IT engineers or systems engineers that work with us in this field and all the things that we've been talking about all day long and the rest of the day and yesterday. Anyone else? Hi.
Hi. We're in a slightly unusual situation in that our industry is quite highly biased towards women. Have you any thoughts on to what extent we should be thinking about diversity within the company as opposed to kind of balancing? Sorry, I've kind of lost my question. We tend to think of, when we're hiring, we do things like, as you said, avoiding gendered language. It's kind of more.
Do you think it's like a little deeper than that? Is that what the question was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it more than just finding a balance of people?
Do you mean maybe like a cultural difference that
Yeah.
we have in a cultural balance? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, one little tiny chart showed that, which all this information is available online, but there's not women in these engineering fields. It's hard to join a company where there's no women. And I was really lucky at Foursquare that I felt really comfortable and included from the very beginning, but that's also not everyone's experience. And I think once companies create culture, employees can make that important and can make it a priority and to bring it up and be voices and say what they need. But companies as a whole have to acknowledge that, and they have to, have tampons in the bathroom, participate in conferences like Grace Hopper, Women Who Code, different. I'm from the U.S., but we have quite a few if you want to look them up. But different career fairs and everything. I think early on they have to make a point to value that and make that a strong thing, that they accept that and they want that, and they don't accept that exclusion.
Thank you.
Yes.
How would you, what advice would you give a woman who wants to move forward in their IT career, or maybe branch out into an engineering career in a place that maybe isn't making a commitment for diversity and inclusion in the way Foursquare is?
I think camaraderie is important, and again, certain companies might not value diversity as heavily as others, but I think connecting with other women engineers, or if you're in IT and you want to branch out to engineering, hopefully there is a woman. Hopefully there's an ally that will help you. I think even if it's not diversity based, finding people who believe in you and can teach you things can help you further your career. And I think that some people just might not think about diversity as a thing. It doesn't mean that they don't personally value it or they don't have these out in the open bias, but show people, change that unconscious bias that IT can be. There can be women in IT.
And to follow up for all the male counterparts in the room, how can men in IT be allies to push this forward if they're not leaders or in management?
Yeah, I think making people feel welcome is the most important thing, and they can be aware of issues that women might feel. There's certain activities that men and women might like differently. That's okay. That's part of our world. But to not exclude people and do things that are traditionally male make a difference. The community is fostered. We all have personal relationships within our team. But when that personal relationship is there, I think you can also grow in the company once that's the beginning. Hi.
Yes, our company is located in an area which has very little racial diversity. How could we help encourage people, given that we are very much location-based and we can't recruit people from far away, how can we encourage more racial diversity in that situation?
That's a really good question and a really tough question. Again, I live in New York, so there's a little bit of variation, but diversity isn't all racial. We can always look at diverse candidates in different jobs. We'll relocate people. That's always something to look at. I mean, again, diversity is trust, and trust is different perspectives, but you can also make it a point to look at people maybe from different socioeconomic groups. If there's an immigrant community in the area, if there is different disadvantaged, marginalized group can also do these same things that we do. Racial diversity is definitely a hot topic, and it's really, really important. But I think to make people feel more welcome, and maybe if you don't live in a racially diverse place, bringing in different races is difficult. But I think if you create a community, again, where people see differences. Maybe they don't see someone of a different race, but they see women, even if they're of the larger makeup. That helps people feel welcome.
Do you think that there's value in like say for example, the last question was say your larger community where your company exists doesn't have a lot of diversity itself, right? So therefore, sourcing from that community can be difficult. Is there an opportunity for companies to like grow an intern program, like pull people out of the community that might not be looking at IT and start to invest in them? Like, is that a conduit for like creating a more diverse candidate set?
Yeah, an intern program is a great way to grow a candidate set. A lot of times interns might be filled in different positions in the company and might not know they have an interest in IT. Maybe opening that up. Hey, we need someone. I think it would be a good idea for an intern to do this job. And it kind of opens up the door for people to learn what they want to learn, maybe who aren't from these traditional backgrounds, who have people and friends in IT or in other tech communities to feel like, hey, this is an option for me. It's something that I can be successful in. Anyone else? All right, well, thanks, guys. I'm available after if you want to chat, but this was great. Thanks.